Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da. Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, to a brand new edition of Geek to Me Radio, episode 204. Today we're talking with Shaun Ayala about his 8-bit Masters of the Universe game, PlayMotu.com, that you can get out on the beta testing. We'll then talk to Milani, the head of Wizard World's PR department, all about virtual cons and how Wizard World has adapted in the face of COVID. Stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And for those of you who are longtime listeners, thank you as always for tuning in once again. For those of you who might be brand new, welcome to Geek to Me Radio. I'm your host, James Enstall. We try to bring you new and exciting guests every week from the world of pop culture. Today, we have Shaun Ayala talking about a brand new video game he's developing, and Milani, the PR person behind Wizard World, talking all about their virtual cons. We're going to start out the day with Shaun Ayala. Right now, we're talking with Shaun Ayala. A new game coming out. It's in the beta mode. For all of you Nintendo fans who love the old school NES like me, and you obviously as an 80s child loved He-Man, he is now merging these two into a beautiful child called PlayMotu.com. Shaun, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. This is exciting.
No problem. Great to have you. I always, I love finding stuff like this on the internet. It's so great that I'm just scrolling through Instagram and I'll do a hashtag He-Man on Instagram, and all of a sudden, oh, what's this? It looks like a game. And I started going through your feed, and it's amazing. How long ago did you start working on this?
Well, so interesting. I want to say September 21st. I've had this idea for just a quick little moment. I mean, I feel like I've had this idea forever because I've been waiting for a game, or I feel like we deserved a game like this back in the 80s. But I actually started to really develop it back in September because I was trying to figure out what can my kids do during, this time that we're at home and we have all this extra time. And I started doing some research for him specifically because he said he wanted to do some games or music. And I came across this platform, this application that allows you to create games. And cool thing about it, right? Like technology has caught up with us, where back in those days, you needed to go to school. Back in those days, you needed to have a ton of money. Back in those days, you had to know the right people. And I came across this app that allowed you to create games. And I was gonna help him create something, but then I came up with an idea and I was like, ooh, I can definitely bring something to life. And that's where PlayMotu was born.
And
so not that long.
And so it's not like you have a background in coding. This is what you do for your day job. This is just an app. And you're like, let's make the most of this.
Exactly. So my day job, I'm in marketing. I've been in marketing for over a decade. So I love just the idea of promoting things or creating things to try to get out to market. But I never really found anything for me per se where I can create and develop something. But when I found this app's called G-Develop, and I stumbled across a gentleman by the name of his YouTube accounts, I think it's Wish Force, and he was teaching how to create games. It was just the fundamentals of how to hit, how to move, and I just soaked it all in, and I just went to work in designing these pixel characters, and then one thing led to the other. It's this is a really ambitious type of game to create, because when it comes to creating games from where I'm learning, because it's the first time I've ever created a game in my life, there's a lot of things that go into it. Animation, sound, objects, like colliding, like there's just all these little pieces. But after I started creating, the first character I created in this whole design was Skeletor, because I wanted to see what I can actually do. And then I just started creating everything else out of it as if I was using Skeletor as my base. And just like the original He-Man toy line, everything was a replicate of each other. So I started doing that same thing, and a lot of the characters started to get born out of it. But back to your original question, yes, this is completely new to me as a developer. I've designed my entire life, which I'm happy and excited that I'm able to bring that aspect to it. But putting it into a game that you can actually move is pretty interesting.
So is it one of those things where, like, let's say you could have chosen to do like a 16-bit if you wanted to go Super NES, or you could have gone more graphic, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? More intricacy in the look, but you decided just the love of old school, you decided to go 8-bit, or is that just the way the app works?
No, I mean, for me, I've always had, my love has always been Super Mario Brothers, and then Super Mario Brothers 3, and then Donkey Kong. So like, or Sonic the Hedgehog, or Excitebike, like NES to me is just ingrained into me. And
sure.
Every time I go down like the Target aisle or the Walmart aisle, it's like, I love the pixel style. I think it's a lost form. And even if, I don't want to say it's a lost form, because people are doing some incredible things, adding more pixels more into their graphics. But that simplistic style of not trying to make it extremely current, but keeping it to the old school. I just have this infatuation for just the old school look and feel, that when I saw what was capable within the app, because designing is a separate function of it. Like you can kind of create any type of game from a graphical perspective. But when I went down this rabbit hole of like, what will I create? I thought of He-Man. I thought of wishing we had this back in the late 80s. And I'm like, let's create a pixel style retro game, because it just, no one has created it. When I look at all the type of games that has been created, yes, Atari 2600 created the first He-Man style game. Mm-hmm. But it was just you riding a Wind Raider, and that was pretty much it for the entire game. Like, no one have created anything, at least from what I'm aware of, that takes you through the story of the Filmation TV show and have references to the mini comics and the entire toy line. Like, to me, I want to see that. Like, so Pixels has just been my thing. Sorry. I know I go off on some tangents. I get excited about it. But
and plenty of reason to be excited. This is very cool. And so I saw some of the stuff you're working on him swimming. And I guess people give you feedback like, hey, there should be like bubbles so that he can swarm into them to get some extra air. You got the Shadow Beast, some really like great Easter eggs from the Filmation series and everything like that. How much longer do you see the development before you? I mean, obviously you could add stuff all over. You could throw in Stridor and Fisto, and you can have Cobra Khan pop out and all these cool characters. How detailed do you plan on get? You have like, have you given yourself a target date for, okay, this is when I'm stopping?
So I think it's funny when you think of just this property in general. I mean, it is a massive franchise, which is exciting. I do believe with this first release in my head, originally when creating this game was originally it's originally being created for me, right? Something I've dreamt of forever. And I think as I look back at like Filmation, so I was the show was started in 1983, so I was about 3 years old. So I didn't really get to embrace the TV show until probably 1985-ish, 1986. And there was a group of people before me who embraced it a lot more with the comics and all that kind of stuff. And for me, I want to root the game in the original Filmation series because that's what I knew first.
Yeah.
And I think when I think about just developing the first rendition of this, I got to have that original cast. So Evelyn, Triclops, Trapjaw, Beastman, and I know we keep getting the same characters over and over, but I do believe that if this becomes something cool, and that I love to create and keep going with it, I can see a part 2, I can see a part 3, because even in this first rendition, I want to still include She-Ra. So it's He-Man, Masters of the Universe featuring She-Ra.
Okay.
But there's a total spinoff that can take place off of this.
Yeah.
But I will say I will be adding in Easter eggs because I feel like you have to have a Scareglow in here. You have to have there's all these iconic characters that we love today, and I'm really leaving it because up to your original point around people suggesting things. I'm really hoping, and I'm loving the response that I'm getting right now. The community is going to help bring this to life because I don't want this to just be a game straight from my perspective. I want this to be a community game that we all feel proud about. And I want everyone to have their input. Yeah, I can't do everything, but I can start seeing a trend of what people are excited about and what they're seeing based on the feedback. And I'm willing to make these suggested changes to really create something that we deserved. So.
Since you're going with the Filmation, not so much the Mattel toys, I take it we'll get the large blue attack track and not that horrible red one riding attack track that we got from the Mattel line. And we're going to take our first break, come right back, chatting more with Shaun Ayala about PlayMo2.com. Please stand by.
This is Alan Oppenheimer, the voice of Skeletor, and you're listening to Geek to Me.
Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio. The show would not be possible without our wonderful sponsors, and our premier sponsor, of course, the City of St. Charles, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. You know it from the website that we talk about all the time, discoverstcharles.com. Just went down to the Tompkins house there not too long ago, had cocktails at the bar. Snow-covered streets of St. Charles. It's a beautiful place. It's an historic landmark. There's all the rich history. We mentioned the great places to eat and, of course, to shop up and down Main Street and all around St. Charles. It's just a great place to visit. If you've not visited before and you live in St. Louis, you have no excuse. Go ahead and hop over the river. Go check it out. A lot to do, a lot to see. The snow is starting to melt. Spring is right around the corner, and you'll want to get out there and play in Frontier Park, bike ride the Katy Trail. You don't have a bike, you can rent one from Bike Stop Cafe. Lots to do, lots to see, lots of fun to be had. Plan your trip now. DiscoverStCharles.com. That's DiscoverStCharles.com. Before we took our first break, we were talking with Shaun Ayala about developing the game. And you can check out the website, PlayMo2.com. We'll have a link up in the show notes. And we asked him about the vehicles, because obviously the attack track, are you using the Mattel toy line vehicles or the Filmation vehicles?
So I started creating that one. So I do have the attack track in there. It's funny. I created that one, and it's a pro or con. People love it. People hate it. People want the original. People want the new one. So it is pretty interesting to see where people really like, where they resonate more with what they're hoping for. But I love it. Like I am going to give nods as best as I can to the toy line and the mini comics because I can't, I grew up with the toys. So, but I wish we had the blue attack track vehicle. We never got that as a toy. So,
I know. It seats one person because I had the attack track. I'm like, in the cartoon, you can fit like 6 people in here. It's very frustrating.
And then with Origins right now with that whole release, and it's interesting because I wasn't even aware or thinking of this release of the new Masters of the Universe line. And for me, it couldn't have been a perfect collision, because now I get to also, like, the only reason, part of the reason I want Scareglow in there is because everyone's going crazy off of the Scareglow toy and how they can't get it right now. Or Shark, what is, I can't believe I'm already forgetting the name of the Shark Tank. Shark? It's not Shark Tank.
The Land Shark.
Land Shark, yeah, because there's that. I mean, there's so many cool things that are coming out that I still want to give nod to those things as well. But it's exciting. It's very exciting.
And you mentioned, obviously, with the new series about to drop, Kevin Smith behind Masters of the Universe Revelations, with it being such a popular franchise, have you had any pushback from the people who own the rights to He-Man about this at all?
Knock on wood. Thankfully, I have not. And I won't jinx myself, but it's interesting that has been a topic in the conversation ever since I started this project. It's interesting, too, because his name is James. His last name is Enoch. He created The Return of Faker. Not sure if you're familiar with that. It is another it was a Filmation style is a homage to just the show, but he wanted to create a Filmation style version of bringing back Faker, and they stopped him. I won't get into more details just because I'm not 100% familiar with that, but I did reach out to him just saying, hey, what do you think? Like, do you think something similar will happen to me? And his response was, although, I'm not saying what he's saying will actually take place, but he's like, it's a free game. Like, you're not doing anything. You're not going to make any money off of it. He's like, keep making it happen.
Yeah.
And that's my goal. I'm not going to monetize it. I'm not trying to put ads in it. I'm not trying to sell it. It is going to forever be a free download. Unless someone says something, or wants to negotiate some things, but
I was gonna say, if you do all the work, I can't see why they wouldn't want, hey, actually, this is kind of cool. We'll give you some money if you let us run it from here. That'd be an ideal situation, more or less, I would think.
Yeah, and because first, fan made is what I keep hashtagging it all, and that's the first thing you see when you turn on the game. So for me, I just want something. I just want something once like that I can appreciate, and like there's some love behind it, whether it was a game or a movie, because we haven't really gotten a game or a movie that was just solid based on what we grew up with, whether it was toys or Filmation. Like that, at least from what I'm aware of, does not exist just yet. So
no, they tried the reboot in 2003, which didn't wow me, but it was nice to have it. Now with Kevin Smith behind this, who is the ultimate fanboy, I think this one might impress, especially with the voice talent he's got lined up behind it. So hopefully this will be a nice convergence. And like I said, I'm sure Kevin Smith would be behind you 100% on something like this.
Yeah, I would hope so. Maybe I should start tagging him in some.
There you go.
Some of these posts.
Maybe so. That might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, but even from a game perspective, right? Like the last game that we received was back in, I want to say it was the Tappers of Grayskull in 2016. I don't know if you had the opportunity to play that on your phone. It's not really. I mean, it was a licensed game, but it was just tapping, and it wasn't really. I mean, it was great. It was good. It was good. But I'm all about story. I'm all about storytelling. I want to feel like, I'm immersed into Eternia, and like, I can relive some of my favorite cartoon shows and or comic book frames. And there was one game that came out that I thought was really, really close to really being good, and it was called He-Man, the most powerful game in the universe. It was on the Apple iOS. Came out in 2012, and that one was really good from a visual perspective, but still, for me, it was missing some storytelling aspects. And then, and I guess for me, like, I got to give props to the games that came before me too, because it's helping me kind of figure out like what is the right direction I should go with this? Because if Kevin Smith's gonna, because he's saying like, right, he's gonna, this is like a continuation of the original, which is what we all want, right? Like, just keep it within that realm, so that way we can all look forward to it and enjoy it. So there was one last game that I did see that I thought was really good as well. It was He-Man and She-Ra. It came out in 2013. It was a PC only game. It was more fighting style. But again, like there still wasn't no storytelling around like Filmation or the comics. Like it was just some fun fight each other up type of thing. So
okay.
I'm just trying to bring something just different and unique, not different and unique, but something that, again, like I just feel like we deserved something like this. So, but I'm excited.
I am too,
If Kevin Smith can do it, I can too.
Exactly right. And we should mention the website again. If you want to check it out, it's playmotu.com, playmastersuniverse.com. And you said it's just Playmo2 is how you're pronouncing it.
Yep. So it's funny because from what I'm hearing, the community, the way they pronounce it, it's Mo2. So playmo2.com is where you can download the beta when you sign up. You'll definitely be the first to play the next renditions of the game when it comes out. So you'll be the first, and you'll get some insight and hopefully continue to help support me by giving me some ideas and suggestions. And so that way we can make a game that we all love.
And you're very interactive. Like I said, your videos, you're actually talking to the fans and taking suggestions from them and actually hearing them. If people want to connect with you on social media, Twitter and Instagram are the best ways?
Correct. Twitter, Instagram, at Playmo2. That's PLAMOTU.
Perfect. I'm very excited to see where this goes. I'm going to track it along. I'm following you now on Instagram, so it'll be very neat to see the progress of this and see how it all comes together. I'm terribly thrilled to see how it turns out.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate you just finding it and wanting to share it with your community. So thank you. I appreciate you, James, more than you know.
Thank you, Shaun. Take care. My thanks once again to Shaun Ayala. We're going to take our next break, come back, and begin our conversation with Wizard World's PR guru, Jerry Milani. Please stand by.
I am She-Ra!
Hey, this is John Heater. I played Napoleon Dynamite and other unforgettable characters, and you're listening to Geek to Me Radio. I guess it's a pretty good station. I've never heard it or anything.
Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio. Before we get to our next guest, I want to make sure we talk more about our movie sponsor. That's MarcusTheaters.com. Marcus Theaters and Movie Tavern have a great way for you to go see movies. Once again, if you're like me, you've missed the movie theater, you can go to the website, MarcusTheaters.com, find the location closest to you, and you can get your tickets right there on the website. You can do what I do, download the app for your phone, and that way you can order your concessions online, tell them what time the movie's going to start for you, and they can be ready to go to make it more of a contactless experience when you go see a movie. Movies are something we don't want to lose. I know a lot of these places to push the movie premieres back. We saw that with Wonder Woman. We've seen it with the new James Bond movie and Black Widow. But movie theaters are, to me, I would not know what to do without movie theaters. I love going to see the movie in the theater. The best home surround system cannot compare. So support the movies. Go to the website, MarcusTheaters.com. Find the local movie tavern or Marcus Theaters close to you. Get out there and see a movie in a safe and fun way and immerse yourself in that movie experience. I'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. And Marcus Theaters will be glad you did as well. MarcusTheaters.com, the official movie sponsor of Geek to Me Radio. With that said, we're going to jump right to our next guest. Right now we're talking to the chief PR guru for Wizard World, bringing you conventions all over and literally all over during 2020, right from your home. Jerry, how are you?
Doing well, James. Thanks.
It was weird not seeing you this year. Wizard World coming through St. Louis is always something I look forward to. You guys had the cast of Smallville lined up for us, which thrilled me. And then pandemic. It just shut down everything. That had to have been. You guys have navigated it well, though. Talk a little bit about the early stages. Obviously, St. Louis had to go. The rest of them that were on the docket fell by. Where was the decision-making process, and kind of talk about the how that all the dominoes fell?
Sure. Well, we did our first 3 shows of 2000. So we did our show in New Orleans and in Portland and in Cleveland. And they were really great shows. I mean, we were tracking really well to have another great year with St. Louis, Philadelphia and Chicago all kind of lined up. We had a few new shows we were thinking that we were going to probably announce for the second half of the year. And we're in Cleveland March 6th, 7th, and 8th. And as we're arriving is just about the time, the 4th and the 5th, when we're arriving to kind of set up, is just about the time when things are starting to break with the COVID situation. And we're still in that mode of, okay, if everyone, keeps clean, and we'll have the hand sanitizers out, and we'll be extra careful, and we'll keep the bathrooms clean, all the things that we normally do anyway, but then to the 10th degree. And we had a successful show in Cleveland. I think we had a few people maybe who said we put out the word, look, if you don't want to come to the show for some reason, we'll issue a refund. But we really didn't have too many of those. People came out. People had a great time. It was a great show. But basically, while we got to the end of the weekend, it was pretty clear there were other events that were being closed, especially in Ohio, that this was going to be different. So we finished up our show on Sunday. Basically, as we were closing up our grounds on Sunday and leaving to go on Monday back to our various home bases, they were closing the state of Ohio behind us. Pretty much everything was closing, all gatherings. So we basically got in right under the wire. I feel like we got in very safely. There hasn't been any notice of anything that during that time that there was anything considering that being a spreading event. It was so early on that I don't think a lot of people had the virus at that point, at least in Ohio. So we were very fortunate that everyone was safe, which is the primary thing for us anyway. And we went over and beyond. And the Cleveland Huntington Convention Center was extra aggressive, uber aggressive, and we were very happy about partnering with them on that. Unfortunately, what that meant was that we weren't going to be doing any live shows for a while. And you don't know that right away, but we kind of had a feeling the way things were breaking, and we didn't have a show scheduled for a couple of months, so we decided to kind of change our plan, knowing that our live events were in jeopardy, and we just accelerated a program that we were kind of thinking about, kind of working on, had some thoughts about over the past few months, and that was our virtual experiences that we started up at the end of March and have been pretty successful.
And what a way to get through the pandemic, because this is great. I missed the live cons, obviously, but to be able to sit in your kitchen or your office or your dining room and be able to sit there and chat with a cast of Little House on the Prairie, or you've got all these, it seems like Wizard World always has a great diverse people like from different entertainment and pop culture realms, but it seems like you guys really dug into it with some of these cast reunions you've had and some of the just kind of things you wouldn't normally expect to see at a regular con, where these celebrities are like, yeah, you know what, we can do this for an hour or so. So talk a little bit about the adaptation from March of 2020 up to what you guys have been doing now and how the celebrities have responded.
The germ of this idea that this could work came to us in Chicago in 2018. We had a schedule of, I think, 6 or 7 of the cast of Outlander at the show were scheduled to be at the show in Chicago. And that's a pretty big deal. That fandom, that Outlander fandom, very fervent, very into it, coming from all over the world. We had people literally coming from Australia, from New Zealand, from Europe, from different places that they're so into this show. This was going to really be the first chance to see Sam and to see Katrina. And so when Sam ended up having to film in New Zealand, couldn't literally get out of the country to be able to even come for a day and fly back, we switched gears just for him. Everyone else was able to make it, but because he's the headliner, we set up a chat with fans at the location, and we set up a big screen, and it was Skype at that point. There was no such thing as Zoom, or if there was, no one had heard of it. We had a Skype set up, and each fan who had the VIP package that was going to meet Sam, and get his autograph and all, they still got his autograph. We mailed it to them, and they got to go up to the screen and say hi to him, and it wasn't like just a general hi to the whole crowd. John would go up and he would say, "Hi, John, how you doing?" And then Mary would go up, "Hey, Mary, how you doing? Great, thanks for being a fan," that kind of thing. So that was kind of the germ of the idea for us, and was more in the mode of, when we're at our live shows, let's take some time and have our celebrities, maybe in the downtime between when they're doing signings, or we'll dedicate an hour every day to a virtual area, so a virtual opportunity for fans who are not able to come to a show, who live somewhere far away, who don't have the finances to fly and go somewhere where there's a show, who maybe are disabled, maybe have other issues and don't like crowds. All those fans who have never had a chance to experience Wizard World, that was kind of our first thought of, let's do it, let's see what we can do. And we kind of got that going, but we kind of talked about it and never really did it. And then, March 9th, we get back and we had this big powwow with the company. What are we going to do now? Let's figure out a way to accelerate this program that maybe we were going to do later in the year, maybe, but this was really the impetus for us to do it, because we knew we weren't going to have live events. So we needed to find a way to still be interacting with fans and still give fans the kind of experience that they expect from a Wizard World show. And you're right. I mean, we started with Supernatural, Once Upon a Time, Buffy. So we came right out of the gate. March 31st was our first event. So we're talking about from March 9th to creating an entire industry really in 3 weeks.
Wow.
March 31st was our first event. We've now done, the one that we did on Sunday was our 190th
That's
with
amazing.
Morgan Fairchild. So we have done in almost a calendar year 190 different shows. And obviously it's not the same logistics as setting up an entire convention, but there's marketing, and there's the acquisition of the talent, and there's the public relations, and there's reaching out to fans in different fandoms to let them know, and to work with the talent, and there's all kinds of factors that go in. And we have done everything, like you said, from those shows that you're familiar with that you would expect to see a Supernatural and a Buffy at our shows, Outlander, those kinds of things, Grimm. But we had Chaz Palminteri, we had Henry Winkler, who's been at some of our shows. We had the cast of Dallas, we had the cast of LA Law. We had Max Brooks, who wrote a book, Devolution. We did an author series with him. We've done some other authors of other books. We've done artists. We've done You Create Comics. So we've had comic artists on. We've had different realms of the pop culture world that Rose McGowan was on. We've had voice actors. We've had every different combination, every different kind of thing. Authors. We had the Brady Bunch cast. I mean, some things that you'd see at our shows, some things you wouldn't see at our shows. Baywatch. One thing about it is, for celebrities, this was a time where they weren't out and doing their regular work.
Right.
All the studios were closed. All the opportunities for them to do what they love doing, which is entertaining fans, were shut down. So for them, we were able to do these. We did these on Wednesdays and Tuesdays. It didn't matter. We were doing all different days of the week. We, at some point, migrated doing more Friday, Saturday, Sunday, more like our regular schedule. And then we do a rewatch party on Wednesday. That's kind of the mode that we're in now. Mostly Friday, Saturday, mostly really Saturday, Sunday, more like our events would be, because there are a lot of studios that are opening back up, and a lot of our actors and celebrities are back to work, which is great. And hopefully they'll be producing some of the shows and things that people will get to watch. But yeah, 190 of these later, and we are going strong and looking forward to some big ones coming up.
And like I said, some of these I would never have expected, like, again, just because it was very recent and it was well done, too. The Little House on the Prairie cast, which is a well-known show, but you would never expect that at a Comic-Con. But it seemed like it was they loved it. The actors enjoyed reminiscing and things like that. Of the ones you put on, are you
is there one that you're most surprised by how well it was received? Like whoever pitched the idea of, hey, let's do a live video with this group or this bunch or this particular person, and you were like, oh, I don't know, but it was well received and really popular.
And we'll pause there and get that answer from Jerry Milani, Wizard World's PR guru, right after this. So please stand by.
Hi everybody, this is James Masters with a sexy fake British accent. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Welcome back to Geek to Me Radio. Chatting this segment with Jerry Milani, who is the PR manager for Wizard World, chatting all about how they've adapted in the face of COVID with the virtual cons, what all that has brought about for them. And before we took that last break, we asked him what has been Wizard World's most popular virtual panel.
Well, here's a good thing. I'm going to say probably the Little House one. One, because it was our most viewed live. So most of our events, we get about, 1,000, somewhere in that range, 800 to 1,000 that watch it live, and many thousand more watch it on replay because it's just easier for people sometimes to be able to watch it at their leisure. So it's available. You can go on, you can watch any of them. But during that week, after we broadcasted, that was on a Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, so maybe people weren't around to be able to watch it, but people were around to watch that one. And, Little House on the Prairie is a show that, like you said, very popular in its time and really during a time when there were 3 networks, and so you watched what was on, and that was a show that I remember as a 7, 8, 9-year-old, even younger, watching with my parents, maybe the first adult show that we watched together. And a lot of people had that same reminiscence about that show. But that Little House on the Prairie, I don't know if we were in a live event, bring Dean and bring all the Charlotte and all the folks who were involved with that. I don't know, Allison Armgren. We don't know if that's going to be a hit or not, and that's a tough guess when you have to fly guests in and they have to take a weekend. But all they had to do was say yes, click on their Zoom link, and let us do the rest of the work. And thousands of fans enjoyed that one. And so from the one perspective, we were able to expand our reach of celebrities for sure because we had a lot of folks who, they've been in our shows before, but then there's a lot who have never been in our shows before. And now we've met them. And now when we have an event somewhere in a region that might make sense, maybe we can bring in some of the Little House people. Maybe we can bring some of the Animaniacs because we know now that that's something that's really popular. Maybe we can bring Warehouse 13 on a bigger scale because that was a really popular one that we did. And it's in addition to expanding our reach of celebrities, because now it's just a click away, we've also expanded our reach of fandom. And it's the reason I gave you before. There are fans who can't fly all the way to Chicago, all the way to St. Louis, all the way to wherever to go to an event that if we're not in their backyard, but they certainly can click on and watch our free live chat or free live Q&A. And then if they're a really big fan, well, then they can take advantage of the paid opportunities, which have been really hugely popular, where you can get an autograph, but also even more fun, I think, because you can always get an autograph. Now these live one-on-one video chats with the celebrity of your choice have been hugely popular. The recorded messages are great too, but I think these live one-on-one chats with celebrities are the thing that make this work. It's the very different thing. There's Cameo, and they do a great job with the recorded messages, and we do those too. And there are different services where you can sign up for autographs, and so we do that too. But now these recorded or these live one-on-one video chats that we also record, and you can get the recording of it. And we also do photo ops as part of that also, so you can get a virtual photo op with the celebrities too. Those have been really popular, and obviously that's the area, because we're not charging for the Q&As for people to watch. We're bringing that to fans just because they get to see that, and hopefully it's for us a mechanism to get people introduced and go, Melissa Gilbert was great. I really would like to get a a chat with her, or really love to get an autograph from her. And so that's kind of the marketing side of it. And then the business side of it, to keep us going and keep us alive as a company, is that part of it, is those purchased opportunities that have really proven popular with fans. And we're really happy that we get to provide fans with something. I mean, I've been the moderator for the Q&As, but I've also been the moderator for some of those one-on-one chats, and the people literally cry when they see these celebrities that they can't believe that they're in a room with this celebrity. And it's, I think, even a more, when you're online at our show and you're waiting online to get to the front and you meet the celeb for a moment, you have that great moment and you shake their hand, and that's really great and touching. But it's a really quick experience. There isn't a lot of time. There's a lot of people online. You want to get through everyone. There's very limited time. With these, the celebrities are taking a little longer. We say 2 minutes, and I don't know, 98% of them have not been 2 minutes. They've all been longer than 2 minutes. People are connecting on a level that's very different, and they're connecting on that level that's different from all over the world. We do a roll call at the top of our Q&As, if you've listened to them. Hey, where is everyone watching from? And we'll say it at the top. There's people from Australia and from Puerto Rico and from Cleveland and from, we'll just go through Newark, wherever people are from, and we'll just mix them all in together, from Europe and wherever, Japan, wherever they're from. We have found that folks have been able to respond to our show who would never have been able to be part of a Wizard World, which is great for us.
And it's great the crossovers you'll get, too, because obviously Melissa Gilbert, Little House on the Prairie, also the voice of Batgirl. So you've got probably Batman animated series fans logging onto that one just so they can see what she has to say and get a chat with Melissa Gilbert. It's there's a lot of those fandoms crossover and double dip. And I'm going to say it now. I haven't seen anybody do it yet. If you're able to, Jerry, I'd love a Night Court reunion, please.
That would be one that I do. If you've noticed the ones that I do, we as soon as we see them pop up in our little internal spreadsheet, I go in there and I write my name in for the ones that I want to do. Like, so when I saw, obviously when I saw Morgan Fairchild, I'm popping into that one. When I saw, any of these ones that I really, a lot of them are in that era, the classic TV sitcoms one I did, The Little House on the Prairie, Chaz Palminteri, all these ones that I kind of try to, make sure I get, that, just because they're my era and they're my Spaceballs. They're like ones that either I love the movies or are really my thing. And so, that would be, Night Court would be tremendous. Marky Post was Night Court, I think, right? We'd love to get Richard Ball. Yeah, we'd love to get some of the stars from those kinds of shows. And again, that's another good example of one that would be a rough choice for us to make, to have them come to a show. It might be tough to decide that we could do that, but to do it as a virtual event, there's some cost involved in doing each one, but it's worth the effort for us. It's worth the chance for us, and we've found that some of these that we didn't know would be popular. Like, I think that people in our company, we have a lot of younger people in our company, and they've heard of Little House, and they know what Little House was, and they heard it was a good show, and a lot of people liked it, but I don't think anyone expected that to be the biggest one. And actually, it came right on the heels of Animaniacs the day before, which was our biggest one.
That was so good.
Some of it is that people are familiar now after 180 of these, now 190, that we're doing them. So naturally, more people are connected, and maybe that's part of it. But I think it's, we've also had a few that we've done recently that haven't reached that total. So that Little House was a revelation for people, that maybe we can do some more from that classic TV, and I'm all on board for that,
And you know me, I try to do at least 4 to 6 cons every year, and not having them this year. My last one was Gallifrey 1 in LA in February before everything shut down. So I think the fact that Wizard World has gone that extra step, and thank goodness you already had that kind of seed germinating where the idea was coming to fruition, because these conventions that you guys have been doing virtually have gotten a lot of people through 2020. So on behalf of the fans, thank you, Wizard World, for doing what you're doing.
Yeah, we're proud to do it. And for me, the first one that I did as a host was Chaz Palminteri. And to get, Bronx Tale is set literally across the street from where I went to college at Fordham in the Bronx.
Wow.
So I love that movie, and I love his other work, Usual Suspects, and for me to get a chance to be the host of these Q&As. I've probably done about 30 or so of them out of the 190. Mike Gregoric is our main host, and he does most of them, and I'd say I've probably done the second most of them, along with Victor Dandridge, and so we kind of fill in places where we have stuff that we really like, and we've mixed in a few other hosts as well, which is neat. Give people a couple different perspectives, but for me, I get a chance to talk to Morgan Fairchild. I mean, 8-year-old me would have, be pooping my pants, but forget about 8-year-old me. 52-year-old me, almost 52-year-old me is in the same situation. I can hardly believe it either. And for me, I got to, I've gotten in my life here, in my world with Wizard World, gotten to meet a lot of great celebrities and whatever, but these virtual experiences, it's expanding that even more. And for me, it's exciting for us on the Wizard World side as well to be able to, to present this and to be part of it.
And again, these conventions, the virtual online stuff has been great, but I certainly miss the live experience. And we just got the email update last week, and it was sad to see that the show's been pushed back, but they're still on the docket. They're still coming. How fast and loose are we playing with the schedules on these? Is there a possibility it could push back again? Obviously, it's all kind of a very fluid situation, but are we hoping that they're going to kick back up by the end of the year, mid to end of the year?
We'll stop right there. After this commercial break, come back and wrap things up with Jerry Milani of Wizard World, so please stand by.
Hi, this is Barry Bostwick, and damn it, Janet, would you just keep listening and come back to Geek to Me Radio, will you?
I've one thing to say, and that's damn it, Janet, I love you. The road was long, but I ran it.
And we're back for our final segment here on Geek to Me Radio. I'm your host, James Enstall. And we're chatting with Jerry Milani, who is the PR manager for Wizard World. And we asked him, obviously it's a question on everyone's mind, when might we start to see some live conventions come back into play?
I mean, it's not our call. It's not anybody's call. I mean, Chicago, we moved Chicago to June of this year, and then, had to reschedule that one almost the same dates as we normally do Chicago, a little bit later, very end of August. Our Philadelphia show, which is normally May or June, now has been postponed twice as well, and that's going to be in November. New Orleans, we're missing out completely this year. St. Louis, we're missing out completely 2 years in a row. Cleveland, we're missing this year. We've moved it to next year at some point. We don't know when. And Portland, we were able, fortunately, to do Portland in 2020, but we're missing that in 2021. That's going to 22. I mean, there's a lot of factors, including every other kind of convention that would have been on during that year is also looking for dates in these same convention centers.
Yeah.
So for us, we're lucky that these are the shows we've done the most. So you're not seeing some of our shows that maybe we've done a couple years and trying to go back there, because we're not going to have that kind of gravitas with those centers that we have in a St. Louis or a Cleveland or a Philadelphia, where we can lean on the fact that we've gone that many years and people know in those centers that this is going to be something that people are going to want to come back to, and it's going to be a successful event. And for us, this our lifeblood is interacting with the fans at live shows. I mean, we've been doing these for a long time, 20 plus years, and all these other pieces that we do, the Wizard World Vault, which has a lot of memorabilia from those conventions and from other sources, and the virtual experiences and all that, they're all offshoots, though, of the Wizard World show, the actual live event. And when we can get back to doing those live events, you're still going to see the virtual events. You're still going to see the vault. You're going to still see the other pieces that we're trying to work on right now to maybe enhance and augment what we're doing to just connect more with fans on different areas. But our lifeblood is those live events where people meet in person. They live their pop culture fantasies in person, with not just meeting the celebrities, but meeting other fans who love the same things. And the virtual events they're virtual. They're finding a way to help people connect, But you and I know, you said it. You go to live shows, it's not quite the same experience. It's a different experience. For some people, it's better, and some people it's not exactly what they want. But we're happy that fans are getting that part of the experience. And I'm doing Legally Blonde on Sunday. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be great.
That will be fun.
We have Clerks coming up. We have Walking Dead coming up, and then we'll go from there, and that gets us through February, and then we move through and go. But yeah, I mean, I hope that we are able to get back to where we know the schedule and we have whatever is in place to make it so that fans can feel safe, that we can feel safe. I mean, we've done 8 shows in St. Louis. We need to be back doing shows. We've done 7. We were supposed to have an 8th one. The next show we do will be our 8th. That's one of our long-running, mid-range, long-running shows, and we want to get back there and we want to do it over again. And Chicago would be 23, I think, and it's going to be weird counting now because we used to just be able to count up how many years and subtract by whatever year it is now. But we got, how many? Which year did we miss? Chicago, was it once or twice?
Yeah.
What do we do? I'm going to be serving up the history. Hopefully in 2025, when we look back at this, we will have done all the shows since then, and we're kind of back into a, but everyone's fighting with it. Sports are fighting with it,
yeah.
And theaters are fighting with it, and Broadway is fighting with it, and every kind of group sessions where people come together, other conventions. For us, it's always interesting to see what other conventions are going on when we're at our show. What's in the other hall? Is it a business convention? Is it some other kind of thing that's related to ours? And I always love seeing what those are. And, those guys and gals, they're all going to have to figure out what they're doing as well. So we fit into the ecosystem whatever way we can and hope we can, be able to bring this back. We have a tentative date of May 6th to 8th that we've announced for St. Louis for next year, for 2022. But, that's just pending. I mean, we have those dates, so we know that, if all goes well and we're able to, get back, that we have them reserved. But, we do still need to, use caution and have the safety of fans and celebrities and folks who we work with and centers and everyone at the primarily safety. And then after that, if we're able to get back to doing the shows, well, we're going to, because that's what we do.
Looking forward to it for sure. Jerry Milani, you can keep track of Wizard World at Wizard World on Instagram and Twitter. And, of course, wizardworld.com is the website. Check out the cities. They'll keep up to date with when they're bringing your city back, depending on where you're listening to this. Where can people find you online, Jerry, if they want to kind of keep up with you?
At GBPackJerry is my Twitter handle as a long time and now 10-year suffering Packers fan with all of that. But GBPackJerry is my handle. WizardWorld.com is the best place. Like you said, we just relaunched the site about a week ago with the idea that our events are now a combination of, and they're going to be from moving forward, a combination of live events and virtual events and everything that we do. So we're happy with the way the wizardworld.com has come out, and we hope it's an easy way for people to figure out what we're doing.
Very cool. Well, hopefully we'll see you in St. Louis here sooner rather than later, and look forward to keeping up and seeing more of these conventions online. Jerry, thanks so much for your time today.
James, thank you so much. Take care.
That's going to do it. Thanks again to my guests, Shaun Ayala. Go check out Play MOTU. That's playmo2.com. And thanks again to Jerry Milani of Wizard World, wizardworld.com. Make sure you follow them on Twitter and Instagram so you can keep up with all their updates. Thank you, as always, to Joey V, making this show sound as good as it does. I would not be able to do what I do without all of his help. And thanks to you for listening, for tuning in. Share this on social media. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and Instagram at Geek to Me Radio. Give the page a like, facebook.com/Geek to Me Radio. And until next week, my friends.
It's not in the way you watch I zombie. It's not in the way you watch The Flash. It's not in the way you love Scotty Young art. It's not in the way you play Mario Kart. It's not in the way you look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's a show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's a show.
Eternia, good night.
Hi, this is James Enstall, host of Geek to Me Radio, and in honor of my favorite Themyscirian, I've decided to become an Amazon warrior.
Hera, give me strength.
The next time you want to buy something from Amazon, go to geektomeradio.com first and click on our Amazon affiliate link. Simply shop like you normally would, and when you check out, a small percentage will go towards supporting the show. So remember, the next time you want to search Amazon for the latest Wonder Woman graphic novel or parts for your invisible jet, click through from geektomeradio.com first.
The world was in peril. Would you have me stand by and do nothing?